What should you know if you are contemplating taking psilocybin magic mushrooms? I haven't premeditated anything I'm about to say, but if we frame the video as if someone asked it to me on a whim, well, obviously the fucking shit about, I'm not saying you should take mushrooms, terms of service, whatever, or psychedelics. Mainly magic mushrooms is probably the best introduction, because acid is a bit, it depends if you know if it's a mushroom's a mushroom in it, and the other stuff is like a bit more weird. So a mushroom is quite easy, and they're quite organic, and there's a well-known quote amongst Terence McKenna and the psychedelic community. There's psychedelic mushrooms are very welcoming to beginners, but unforgiving with veterans. So there are warnings. Don't instill yourself with fear, but if you take a large dose, it depends how many trips you've had. The first few trips are often commonly known to be very welcoming and warm and good. So I had the first 2 times I'd done mushrooms, I took a 3-5 on the first time, and so I took so the first time I took mushrooms, it was actually, I took them and I was way up there actually with one of my best mates and some other guy, and we were smoking. I was still smoking tobacco at that point, I think, so perhaps it was the shrooms that made me cut it out. But yeah, it was the first time. God, that must have been a long time ago. And I went somewhere else, and then I went, oh fuck this, I want to go get headphones. I went to my house to get them, and then I was like, nah, fuck this. I sat in the garden with my shirt off in the sun, and I was looking at the fence, and then I'm not joking, yeah, I know it sounds like stereotypical, because I've heard myself say it loads, but I'm not joking, bro. I was looking at the fence, and it was a large, like, brown fence in front of me, just in my garden. You couldn't see through it. It was just like 6 foot or 8 foot panel, whatever. And it literally, eventually, of just sitting in the sun, like coming up on these shrooms, it literally like mounted right in front of me. Not that I could see behind it, but like the fence was all like the main thing of my vision, the main kind of object, and it literally just like, it's like it was wax. And I was just like, oh my god, and everything's mounting, bruv, and there's so many different aspects to it. I go upstairs, I look in the mirror, and everything is like perfect symmetry in my face. And that's the one thing that that I've noticed, is visuals kind of peter out over time, so they become less relevant when you have a lot of trips. So mushrooms, I've probably had over 100 trips over many years, probably more often than not combined with cannabis. A lot in silent darkness, and that's a good thing I should talk on, actually. I'll talk about that. Yeah, let's just let one sec. But yeah, like someone asked me not long ago, they were like, what can you see? And I said, it's not really what you see. I said it like, it feels kind of like, and I was gonna I said spiritual, and then he just was like, people don't want to hear about it. They think that you're like religious. I don't know. He just called me lost. I just said, I guess, but I don't know, bro. He's just hating. They ain't seen what I've seen. That's why I can walk around with I walk around with this Mr. Traumatic merch that says I'm a multi-dimensional entity. It's just such a weird looking jumper. But if anyone was ever to like be like, what the fuck is up? It'd just be like, you haven't seen what I've seen, bro, if you don't get it. Anyway. So yeah, the visual, there's still many visuals, and if in silent darkness there's often like actual visions, and they have the same kind of nature as a dream. Very strange. So anyway, but yeah, in the beginning, like there's definitely a lot of visuals, like and on LSD, like the, I've had the sky covered in fucking the flower of life. There's these very particular geometric patterns, and I don't know, they seem to be like pure wisdom. They kind of look like the crop circles, and they're like all to do with sacred geometry is what they're called, and like maths and numbers and things, and like it's basically like the blueprint to the universe supposedly. And there is a lot of these intricate geometric patterns, and you see it often in nature. So the bottom of a pine cone actually has that a kind of flower fractal. Nature is fractals everywhere. But you can find there's like this certain plants that have very clear geometric intricate patterns, and you see that often on mushrooms and that. But over time, you get less like engulfed into them. Sometimes, I mean, fuck me, like 80 I mean, it still looks amazing, don't get me wrong, like it still blows your mind every time, but you're no longer, you've seen it, like, and you see it when you're sober if you do it enough. It's kind of like HPPD, but I don't understand how that happens to people in a negative way, because I mean, everything's still completely functional. It just, I don't know, everything, it looks the same, but it can look different, like often nature and trees, but I like it. I think it's better, because what you see on psychedelics looks real from some angles. It's still like perception, and you see things in new ways, and you never see it as the same after again. And I don't know what to say about that, because the realm, you know, the shrooms are organic, they're used as medicine, and like that, everything else about them is fucking, I would say fantastic, but I don't really use that word. It sounds a bit weird to say that. So anyway, this is very important. Should you take them in here, whether the sun is out or it's raining or what's the deal, or should you take them in silent darkness? Oh. Should you take them in silent darkness at like 3 a.m. in your bedroom alone? Or should you take them outside? You can either take them at night after the day, before, like in the evening, you dose it when the sun's going down and you're quietly in your living room. You can have a lamp on if you wish, but silent darkness supposedly. And I would recommend, because it's not wise to lay down as soon as you've eaten, I've heard, so I intuitively would say don't literally lay down after you eat a huge dose. Not telling you to eat a dose, but if you do, and a heroic dose, really for me, like a 3.5 grams of Liberty Cap strain at least, for me, it doesn't really do it anymore. It does, it certainly does, but it doesn't snap. If I go to about 7 grams, which is pretty kind of rare for me now, to be fair, 7 grams is a lot. So what I was going to say about the visuals actually is how I say they peter out, they don't matter anymore. Don't get me wrong, one time I was chilling and I was thinking about whatever, and then a fucking like a grid of like an organic like system emerged. It was like basically a golden like square, and it had loads of different dots, you know, like Connect 4, how it's like, imagine just a grid of 10 dots like that, and each of the dots, like half of them were growing in and half were growing out, like a wall of them, and they were like squadges of like, they looked like honey or like hobs on the top of a cooker, like electric hobs, you know how it comes on like bright and then goes out. It was like a grit, and it the more I looked at it, the more like I understood it in a way, and it felt like very good to watch, because I thought it might have been like the Terence McKenna visual language, because I'd never met what they call machine elves or entities, which, yeah, you can get them as well, like a construct of an other, or supposedly there's basically entities in that realm. supposedly, but that's more DMT. But anyway, should you take them in silent darkness or out in the nature? Oh yeah, so actually, so yeah, you can take them in the evening in silent darkness. That's what I was gonna say. Or what I would probably say, because right, I used to take them much more out and about at the beginning, and then for a while, before I got kicked out of my fucking crib and everything changed quite drastically on my channel, and I've changed a lot. I was watching some of my old stuff. I'm very different now. So then at that period, I started doing them a lot in silent darkness, as Terence McKenna recommended, and those are really where it's at. They will, like, if you want to meet your mind, do it in silent darkness. That's where the real shadow work happens. But not necessarily that's the best thing to do, because it's often, because that's how Terence does it. He says he normally takes it about 7 p.m. I think he said, in silent darkness for the moment. He takes it and he just sits there, or you basically take it and you sit there and you wait and you discipline yourself not to get up. And this is important because, to be fair, there's something to be said about, like, if you take a big dose outside, you have to be wary because it's intense. I made a video, I kind of dragged on, to be fair, but basically, like, a good friend of mine who was also into the kind of spiritual stuff, he was going through some shit anyway, but he took some shrooms and he actually took his life on the mushrooms. And that's just an example of how powerful they are. I've had trips. Check out, if you search OXSN bad trip on Rumble or YouTube, you'll find it's got quite a cool thumbnail. It says suicide terror trip. It's a very, like, entertaining edited video. I poured hours into that. It talks very in depth of a trip that I had. So I told you earlier I took 3 mushroom trips when I said that mushrooms are good with beginners but unforgiving with veterans. The 3rd trip I took, after the 2 good trips where my fence melted, and then I had another one of a similar nature when I was outside in the sun in the daytime, I took one when it was at night. I was listening to Lex Benjamin, if you know him. He talks about psychedelics. He's talking about infinite perspective video on mushrooms at the time. But yeah, that's the video I'm referring to. So if you want to know more about that trip. But anyway, I got locked into hell basically, and I had, like, I decided that I must kill myself, and it was, like, literally insane. And that happened on 2 separate occasions around the same period. And it just happens to you. Like, I wouldn't put it on. You literally lose, like, awareness, bruv. You're literally just, like, fucking rolling back and forth, just, like, I was, like, singing songs and rapping music and things, like, and I didn't even know who was in front of me. Like, on one of the trips I started to shout for my mum. I literally just started to go, "Mum." Like, I didn't know if anyone was in the house. I couldn't understand the idea of the sun that had gone down, or the idea of my mum coming home from work. I was like, what the fuck is going on, bruv? And it was literally, yeah, I remember messaging my sister, because they might have, I didn't know if they were going to come round or not, and I messaged them saying I was literally dead. And I remember that feeling. So I literally had visions, and I, like, melted into the earth and became, like, the leaves and the roots and stuff. But, like, it's not like I put it on. Like, it literally, I was just alone in my room, bruv, and I literally just disintegrated into fucking some, like, next dimension, and it was, like, dark. And it happens to loads of people. Like, I know a mate who said he happened to him, everything went green and, like, spiraled inwards, and his dad come in and he, like, started to cry. Fuck knows, bruv, it's deep. So that's what I mean, that's what I was going to say, is the more you do them, that don't happen anymore. You get to a point where I can comfortably take, like, I've never taken, like, 15 grams of shrooms, because the dose, just eating it, is shit. But if I had it in capsules, or, like, fuck me, I'd do that. And I'd be fine. That's not that I would necessarily do that now. I just mean, I wouldn't lose my composure. But you do in the earlier goes, because it's so unknown territory. Like Terence McKenna has a quote where he's like,